we're going to get the word out on Spoutable and get things fired off right on time. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC, and I will be the first to apologize for Friday night, y'all. I did not feel good. And it's one of the things that I wanted to kick off with the pretty much wrap up of 2023, even though I think I'm going to do a really full in-depth closer to the end of the month. But I did. I got the Twitch recap, and I normally don't pay attention to any of that. I've been on this app for 3 years now, and I don't normally let stuff like that get to me. But this year was a big year. Personal-wise and everything, there was a lot of ins, outs, and in-betweens. And I honestly didn't know if I was going to keep these Bonnet Chronicles going. I wanted to, but between the professional stuff I've been trying to do with the novel and taking my writing seriously, my health kept going all over the place. The chronic pain and fatigue started kicking my butt. So there were a lot of days where I just had to tap out and not do this. And now living up here where we get serious snow and winter weather, and me thinking I could be in my shorts to be fine, and learning, nah, bitch, you need to dress better. You need to dress warmer because you're going to get sick. Being autoimmune compromised, going into town, taking off my mask and getting sick. I had a lot of days where I was laid out or just my throat was too sore to talk. And there were days where I realized that you're human. Even though you write science fiction where humans evolve, you're not there, heifer, so you have to take time off. And I thought about it. I was like, does this shit even really matter? Do people watch these Bonnet Chronicles enough to justify giving 2 days of your life a week to talking about news, politics, and social issues? And Twitch did a recap. And it's like I said, this was a harder year for me to keep consistent with the Tuesdays and Fridays. And I still managed to get 73 new followers. Still have solid subscribers, which it's different on YouTube than it is Twitch, because that's been growing exponentially as well. And the fact that people want to keep up with a subscription for this channel is enough for me to realize that what I'm doing matters. And I appreciate all of you. And they did a whole recap of all the ins, the outs, and everything. And it just made me feel appreciated. So I thank all of you. Welcome to the chat, Grandamir. I just think that people don't think stuff like that matters, and it does. Streaming back in the day wouldn't have been a thing for a lot of us, especially Gen Xers. We would not have thought, I need to get online and show my gaming. I need to talk about things I care about. We had public access TV when I was younger, but you literally had to pay a studio, basically, a small fee to get on there, and there was no guarantee anybody was going to watch you outside a few of your friends. It was very rare with public access that anybody took off from it. And it feels like Twitch gave us who remember those public access TV days the ability to get in front of a camera and be ourselves. Whether we attracted a whole bunch of people or nobody, it was the fun of having that medium that I think it's opening up doors. There are so many talented people on this site constantly. And I know for some people it's algorithm and numbers and if you can be famous from it. But honestly, if you keep plugging away and build your community, to me that is way more rewarding than being famous. I don't want to be an e-celeb. And I tell that to people all the time. I know people don't believe me, but I don't care. I've always wanted to be a writer. That's where my heart is, but I also have a passion for talking about things that are important. That's why I do these Bonnet Chronicles. But I'm also, like I said, I'm a writer. This book, its follow-up book is coming. I have been working very hard on the follow-up novel because I feel like telling Axiom's story make my secondary, actual main character feel like I didn't give her proper ending yet. So Kayla's story is coming soon, and I'm excited about this because I gave a lot of seeds about the BHM that I think a lot of people want answers to, and the second novel is coming. So if you look forward to Axiom and you thought the world was just missing certain things, second book's coming. Don't even have a title for it yet. It's in the processes of being put together. The puzzle pieces finally started forming in my brain to get the second novel, but I'm telling you, and this is on sale still. Ebook 50% off, paperback 50% off. I will have links in the show notes always. But that's the thing. Trying to find that work-life balance was hard this year. And I didn't think I was going to be able to keep doing this. And welcome to the chat, DP. But I realized that you don't have to give your all to this. Even people who became partners. I realized I was giving friends the same advice. I don't know who's texting me. They're going to have to wait. Take your breaks. Take your breaks when you need them. Take your breaks because you're human. Don't let this streaming stuff become the only thing you do, because you will burn out and then you'll get sick of it. Nobody wants to sit and watch a streamer that's not enjoying themselves. Even when we're talking serious stuff or trying to have a gaming session, you want to look like you want to be there. But too many people are like, nah, I got to grind. I got to burn it out. I want to be the next Moist Critical and stuff. And not realizing that Charlie just sat in front of the camera for years just being himself and grew his following that way. It happens when you want to do what you want to do. And I need people to understand that there's no perfection to the system. But as long as you're in it for the long haul, you will develop your community. And I just wanted you to all know how much I appreciate you sticking it out with me. Because like I said, between the move, between the chronic fatigue and a lot of the taking off, because I did not want to be raw voice on here, I didn't think I was going to have a good year this year. And I have. Twitch paid me out quite a few times thanks to the people who support the Bonnet Chronicles on its own. Because I know y'all ain't sitting on those Sundays in Salona. I don't even pay attention to the chat during that. When I'm playing video games, I am so immersed. That's why, even though I know I'm getting Baldur's Gate for Christmas, I don't know if I want to stream it. Because when I get into an immersive video game, I am not paying attention to chat. I barely pay attention to chat when I should be paying attention to chat. Hugs back at you, Grandamir. It's harder, and I always give props to those of you who can multitask video game play and take time to pause and pay attention. Because when I get into a good RPG, I do not have it in me to pause. And with DDO, paying attention to chat could kill my character. So, yeah, no, that's why I don't stream hardcore. And if you see me in a hardcore session, it's probably with a streamer who's like Stream Tom or Voodoo, who's used to paying attention to chat and streaming, and I'm in one of their groups. I will never stream my hardcore sessions because honestly I would die and it would make me mad. So I'm still trying to learn how to game stream and pay attention to chat. I'm not there yet. I can barely do it when I'm talking about stuff I care about. But I just wanted to give props and thanks, and we're going to do a little bit of something different. Streamlabs has a shop. And right before Christmas, I decided to get some stuff designed with some of my newest slogans. Because people are like, you should put a lot of your slogans on shirts and stuff. Which I like some of the stuff I say. I just never think it's worth putting on anything. Oh yeah, there we go. Here is a new to go with the other tank top that I have. My Defiant Decency. And now I have Budget is my love language. And that's a tank. These are going to be my workout tanks, and I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the things. We got some stickers here as well. And these could have been bigger. I thought I was going to get sheets of these cut. We will be giving a lot of these away when we get to the 1K on YouTube. So I'm excited about that. Because we're getting close. That calling out the heifer has been very lucrative. And I have some words about her later on in the cast. Because she wants me to keep her the center of my attention. She's not going to be, but I got time towards the end to call out her nonsense. I don't think I like this mug, though. I think I like the Defiant Decency mug better. I don't know how they press it in the Streamlabs storage, so I would suggest instead of getting the Budget is my love language mug, unless you just want a black looking mug, because this, I gotta change the design, I think, to make it either bigger, because I don't think it came out proper. Let me see, where's my flashlight? Yeah, it's missing. to get a better lighting for it. But I don't think this mug came out quite the way I envisioned it. So back to the drawing board for that. But that's the cool thing about doing these kind of things. Because while I do like the way the tank came out, the mug's definitely got to go back to the drawing board. Especially since the Defiant Decency mug came out so much better. And then we got a Christmas card from a guildmate, which I love stuff like this. The holidays is just such a cool thing. Aw, from Adrian, Joy, Grace, yay, the whole family. And we sent them a card too. Now, I know I opened myself up to that, but we normally used to get into Christmas card exchanges with a lot of friends, and this year was a lot touch and go. But I did make a promise to a few people that I would send them cards. So if you're waiting, I mailed out some. It's hopefully, fingers crossed, to get to y'all before Christmas. I've been trying to get better with keeping my promises when I tell people I'm sending them stuff. You know, I don't want them thinking, Tim says she's going to send us Christmas cards, and then we don't get them. But I did get everybody their books this year, so I'm excited about that. Because we're not going to be doing a lot more signing. That is a pain in the butt. And plus, people keep trying to talk me into actual physical going out and meeting people signing. So if I got to do that, I'm definitely not going to be signing and mailing stuff out no more. It all depends. Because like I said, I don't think I'm getting over the social anxiety anytime soon to be doing personal book stuff yet. And until then, I don't feel right saying, oh, if you want a signed copy, wait till I decide to not be fearful of COVID. So it all depends on what happens next year. And know by the second book, though, people are not going to just want us mailing stuff out. So it really does all depend. But it has been a really good year in some aspects in 2023, but others not so much. And I hate to go from a happy topic to a more serious topic, but that's the whole reason why I started these Bonnet Chronicles. And I'm going to pull up Spoutable, because Barely Doll had the 411 on a lot of this story, and she's been really passionate lately about keeping us apprised of what was going on with this young lady in, I believe, Ohio. It is frustrating knowing that there are women out there literally suffering for stuff that naturally happens to our bodies. I know that there are people that don't understand the basic biological makeup of motherhood at all. They think, oh, sex makes a baby and that's it. And that in 9 months you'll deliver, and that's not always the case. And everything that I've heard about this young lady's case, everything I've read, ingested, all the news articles that I've watched as well, the live feed and stuff, they're trying to convict her for something that wasn't her fault. She found out that the fetus she was carrying was a non-viable fetus. The membranes in her womb had already ruptured, so the baby had no feasible way of being delivered safely anyway. She went to the bathroom, miscarried, the baby fell into the toilet, which it's a sad case of that happening. And instead of having understanding and people who want to give her the kind of help and just hugs, because it had to be horrible for her to go through that. She's 33. So you already have a lot of people going TikTok, which is not even realistic. You can have babies as long as you have a functioning uterus. There have been 70-year-olds to give birth. So I wish more people would learn about that little biological aspect before assuming that there's a biological clock, because that's another myth that needs to be shattered. I'm 46 and I can still have kids. My choice. So I just feel like people need to understand how our wombs work before they try to legislate them. But her story is so horrific. This young lady's name is Brittany Watts. And there's GoFundMe's, and I'll have all those links in the show notes as well to help her criminal case, because she's literally being criminally prosecuted. And in at least 19 states and counting. Because there are more. There are heartbeat bills being passed. There are laws against women being able to legitimately have either a safe abortion or any kind of procedure that could put a fetus in danger. But if a fetus isn't viable, we can also be thrown in jail for not safely giving birth. And that doesn't make sense. And if you are a woman who has had any kind of sexual activity, whether it was something that you wanted or involuntary, you have ran the risk or have carried a child. I don't like sharing stuff that is too deep and personal because I've learned about trauma dumping, but this is a topic that I have direct stories from myself. Because back in 2000 and I believe one, which was already a crazy year for a lot of us, I had a miscarriage and I didn't want to think on it. I still don't like thinking about it. I had a bad fight with my then partner during the time. I had to be rushed to the ER because of the pain and the bleeding wouldn't stop because I also dealt with anemia. I didn't know about fibroids back then, but I'm pretty sure I had them. That's why I had such heavy flows, and I don't want to get too gross or into the details. But that day that I lost that first child, I just shut down. I did not think about it. I went into work the next day because I just didn't want to stay home with a person that was constantly screaming at me. And my boss treated me with so much compassion, hugged me, said, no, this paperwork says no, go home. You should be resting. I broke down crying because I really didn't want to go home. I really didn't want to think about what had happened to me. And nobody there at work was blaming me for what happened. And to have a state like Florida who now has a heartbeat bill, I could have been arrested for something that I didn't even know. A, didn't know I was pregnant. B, would not have been happy to have lost said child. I don't understand why women would be punished in that situation. And everything I read about Brittany Watts' story, it shows that the doctors had already knew this fetus was not viable, yet they'll still make somebody that you're literally carrying a dead baby inside of you. And it's not right. There's a woman in Texas right now. Let me see if I can get that article up because that shit freaks me out too. Yep, here we go. The Texas article. Because I was freaked out by this. Because it really feels like they're trying to turn us into the Handmaid's Tale. Texas top court rules against woman who sought abortion for medical emergency. And this story just freaks me out because they literally knew. The doctors tested her fetus, tested her womb. Welcome to the chat, respect. They knew that the fetus inside the Texas woman was definitely not viable as well, just like Brittany's story. And she had to go out of state for the procedure, and now they're trying to reverse because the lower court said, no, the baby would not be able to be viable. There's no way to carry it to term. She would be literally giving birth to a stillborn child. Why would you make a woman go through that? And then the Supreme Court was like, nah, it's Texas. Women don't have rights. You have the right to be a baby maker. And we're just supposed to accept that. We're supposed to just accept that these people who don't seem to care that this is dangerous. Giving birth is dangerous. I've only done it once. 18 years ago, I had a child and it was a rough time. My blood crashed because honestly, I was not in the best shape or mental health back then. I couldn't even hold my baby when I had him because they had to get me from literally crashing on the hospital table. I finally got my shit together, but it took time. And it scared me to the point where it was just like, I don't know if I'll ever have another one. It took getting a partner like Axiom Wolf for me to finally get the courage again to want to do this. And 4 years ago, when I got the consultation about my fibroids, they offered to take my womb. They offered to give me a full hysterectomy. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I have somebody that not only am I happy with, but we were talking even back then about the future, about potential marriage and everything else. And I thought, you know, if I had the chance to do it again with an actual partner and not an abusive piece of shit, I would want to have a child with that man. And I'm lucky. Is it easy? No. Periods kick your butt. Even with an IUD, I still get them. There are still times where the fatigue hits me and rocks me. And there are days where it's like, why didn't I just go for the hysterectomy? That would have been easier. I already did mom once. I don't have to prove myself. But it's like there are times, especially now, a lot of my friends later on in life became mothers too. There's no proper age. This isn't a time where you only get to live to 30 or 40 and you die off. Humans are living to the 80s, 90s, and beyond. And there's no such thing as the perfect family. So if I and my partner want to have a kid now, we can. Janet Jackson had her first child at 50. So if I want to wait another 3 years and match her and have my second child at 50, that's my business. I think the proper way to do anything is what makes you happy and what you can do. And there are way too many humans that want to regulate, especially what we women can do and say with our bodies. And having a gynecologist that not only listened to me and understood that the main reason why I didn't want to have the hysterectomy, and being able to talk to him about, yeah, I found somebody that I care about. We don't know yet, but we wanted to have that option. And having the doctor that listens, that's why I go to female gynos. No offense to you if you're a male gynecologist, but I just don't think they listen to us the way females do, because nobody understands your body better than somebody who understands your body. So my doctor listening to me made me feel like I could plan this properly, because especially for black women, it's harder for us to get heard in these situations as it is. And this is especially infuriating when you know that you could literally die from this, whether it's bleeding out, whether it's preeclampsia. There's a lot of factors that go into healthy childbirth that people still don't even practice or understand. And now in these 19 states, it is literally harder for gynecologists, obstetricians, and people who just want to help women give birth do their job properly. This whole Texas thing floored me out, because the doctors here in Texas, literally, I say here in Texas, I don't live in Texas, so I don't want to get that twisted, but the doctors there in Texas literally did not want to do the procedure, even though they knew it was not a viable birth. So even if she had wanted to get this procedure done in her home state, she couldn't have safely, because nobody wants to be held liable by their antiquated, archaic laws and get arrested for doing their job, even though they knew that this baby wasn't viable. And something that I learned, having a child once, they will test that fetus for everything. They will test to make sure that its heartbeat is strong. They will test to make sure that there's no STD, that there's no drugs in the child's system. This is stuff that is important for a viable childbirth. But they can also tell you when they don't hear a heartbeat. And I've seen so many women share their stories of that news, getting that news when they go and they do the ultrasound and there's nothing there. That just heartbreak, especially if you're wanting to be a mom. So anybody who wants to criminalize that you're a monster. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that blames a mother for the fetus not being viable, use are monsters who probably failed remedial biology, because that's not how that fucking works. And welcome to the chat, Beans. I just feel like it's heartbreaking to me that so many people want to legislate our bodies, but they don't want us to vote. They don't want us to really have a voice, and they think we've got a sell-by date. And I need to remind you that as long as a woman keeps her uterus and it's functioning, there is literally on document a 70-year-old woman, I believe she was in New Delhi, but I might have gotten the part of India wrong, who was able to successfully give birth. We women, you just don't know us. You think you can control us. You think there's a sell-by date or a best buy when it comes to us. But as long as we keep a viable, healthy, active lifestyle, we can have babies for as long as we want to. And it should still be our choice, as we do the majority of the fucking heavy work when it comes to the pregnancy, man. That's one of the biggest arguments I've seen so many people have. And I get it. Not every story is black and white. I used to get into it on the forums, which was about anime of all things, with a guy. And we ended up becoming friends after he and I had a back and forth, because I'm very passionate about the right to choice. I'm very passionate about the right to choice because I was a former SA victim, and I don't want to think about having to carry the child of somebody who did that to me, and you will never get me to change my mind on that. But he, as a man, had to deal with not having a choice and the person he was sleeping with terminating the pregnancy. So I told him, I can understand the pain you have in not having the sex. I will never take away from the fact that you felt like there was nothing you can do. You have to realize the amount of stress carrying a child to term puts on somebody's body. And if you're not partnered up with somebody, and even if you are partnered up with somebody, it is a scary time. It's a scary thing to go through. And while it might upset some dude that you don't have a say in whether or not somebody carries your child to term, unless you're willing to put that fetus in you and nurture it and push it out yourself, yeah, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have a majority of the say in what a woman who does have to do that and risk dying on that operating table, pushing a baby out of us, get to say. And I don't understand how we still have legislation in 2023 telling us women who do the majority of the work during the fucking pregnancy how we should do it, when we should do it, when we could terminate it, because that is none of your fucking business. That should be between the mother, the father if he's allowed, and the doctor performing the procedure. None of us should be passing laws legislating that because it shouldn't be any of our business. This is a personal, private, medical matter between the people involved. And I would not want anybody in my business like that. So I can't imagine being so morally in somebody else's business. But that is why the sociopath in me says this is how people control others. You want to talk about, oh, it's the right of life of the baby. But once that baby's out, then what? What if that person couldn't financially take care of them? Oh, yeah, they shouldn't have had that baby. Well, they could have had a procedure to not bring that life out in the first place, but you didn't want that. All those stories that I've ingested while I was sick, all the true crime of kids just being brutalized by people who probably shouldn't have had them in the first place. And it's always top comments. Oh, they should have never had them. Yeah, but they probably live in a state where it's more criminal to have an abortion than it is to freaking abuse a child that you didn't want. It is a messed up system that there's no right answer to. But I'm telling you, the wrong answer is to tell women that we don't have a choice in our body autometry. I will never get on board with that. It is frustrating to me in this day and age. We're the year 2023 and we're still arguing for our rights to choose our own path with motherhood and beyond. And it's got to be a better way than this. I don't want to live in a state where I have to worry about a heartbeat bell. I'm lucky. Here in Michigan, Big Gretchen's not playing. She, Gavin Newsom, and several others, I believe Ben Shapiro, there's a lot of Democratic governors who is like, look, we need to get some stuff on the books because our red states aren't going to do right by women, and they're going to have to come to our states to get legal procedures done that will save their lives. It's sad, but this has always gone on in our country. There's a history of women having to band together, form groups like the Jane Project to get women safe abortions. Planned Parenthood. You think that just happened organically to give out condoms? No. Because our country had such a weird thing about women getting these procedures. I remember back in the day, and I was a kid, and I don't even think it was the original, because I think it was a rerun my grandmother watched, the Mod. And there was a big deal about her being in her late 40s and having to get an abortion because she didn't want to be a mother then. Because back then, especially in the 70s, they loved to push that there was a cutoff age for us women with having babies. And that a woman with salt and pepper hair would be way too old to have a baby. And nowadays we know there is no proper age or limit. Some people just do things later on in life. We live way longer lifespans now. So it really doesn't matter if you decide you want to have your 20s and 30s to yourself and you don't want to get tied down. Because parenthood that's a full-time job. People who are young and just don't want to do it, I don't blame you. Because it's like I told my cousin, she didn't believe me. Once you have a kid, they become your whole entire world. If you are dedicated to being a parent, Your world is wrapped around making sure that they're okay, making sure that their lives are good because they didn't ask to be brought into this world. It's just, it trips me out that people are like, well, the younger generation are just selfish. None of them want to have kids. There are plenty of people who still want to have kids. They just don't want to be tied down to the wrong partner. And they realize that being a parent is a lot of fucking work. And nowadays, surviving with one income is not fucking possible. If Axiom Wolf and I both didn't have an income, there's no fucking way. Bills, rent, mortgage, everything takes a unit. And then you throw a child on top of that, and you wonder why so many families fall apart. It's not easy to do that balance. And it isn't fair to children to not want people who actually want to do that work, because it is a lot of fucking work. What trips me out is the people blaming the younger generation who aren't gung-ho to just get married and spit out kids. Especially when we don't have stable economies, especially when you could literally be homeless with a child, and that's no way to raise a baby. When CPS is a fucking nightmare, and people literally use it to threaten people now because they know it's more enforcement than it is helping children. It is a fucking nightmare to navigate being a parent. So I don't get mad at the younger generation going, I don't know if I want to do that. Especially when you can literally be criminalized for a miscarriage, which is, last I checked, your body literally saying you can't do this. But anything to make us women feel scared to simply exist has been way too legislated in our country for way too long. It's not right, it's not fair, and it's not a viable way to be, because there are plenty of women who opt out completely. They get rid of their uterus, they don't want to have a baby, period. They are in situations where it's not going to happen anyway. So why are we basing laws on something that should be a choice point blank for us? We have over trillions of people on this planet now. I'm not exaggerating, because there's at least 1 billion just in China alone. We have plenty of humans on this earth. So having a kid outside the fact that you want to have a kid, it's just not needed anymore. We don't need to populate this planet anymore. So us breeders, as I like to jokingly call those of us who can still have kids, we're just doing it to be vain at this point. And like I said, my kid turned 18 this year. He's graduating high school next year. I've already done a full stint of getting a child from fetus to adult. I don't have to do any more, but part of me kind of wants to see if I can have a daughter. And even then, now that we are in a different set of times, I can't even say that. I can't even say that the child that I have will want to identify as a daughter, and I am okay with that. I know for some Gen Xers, they're like, I can't stand that. I don't like pronouns and stuff. Why does it matter to you? Shouldn't you be more apt to raise a kid that's confident in themselves? One of the things I love about Kiddo, and this shit cracked me up the other day, because I listened on the bike to a lot of YouTube stuff, true crime and other crap. There was this kid that was being bullied about being bigger and everything else. And I worry about that. I worry about Kiddo with his autism, dealing with a world that doesn't understand him. And I was like, Kiddo, how do you feel about yourself? And I know he was looking at me like, that's a random thing. And he goes, I'm perfect. And no, he didn't even skip a beat. Just said it. I'm perfect. And I was like, I'm okay. All right. That was a good answer. I don't know what else to say. He's happy, he's content, and he thinks he's perfect. And that's how your kid should feel. No matter what this world tries to do or say, as long as they feel they're perfect. That's all you can do when it comes to parenting, is give your kid that ability to feel confident in themselves. But we also have several states, along with their trying to legislate women, trying to make kids who are just trying to figure this shit out feel criminalized if they're LGBTQ+, especially if they're trans. And we have to keep on these legislators who are more worried about shit that ain't their business, because this ain't the kind of country I want. I don't want theocratic fascism telling us who to be, how to be, app switch. I watched John Oliver last night and it boggled my mind that there's literally an app that minds whether or not you've gone on porn sites. Look, I get self-regulating, and I get that everybody has something they're into. I read dirty mangas. There's no shame to my game. I don't need them. It's just fun to read them every once in a while. I think we all have something that we're into that's a little bit risque, a little bit adult. Some women read romance novels. I used to try to read those, but they're all kind of the same. And I don't like the kind of, he's an abuser, but I can change him lean that a lot of these romance writers do. So can never get into them. And some mangas are just as bad with that crap too. There are way too many people that romanticize abusive relationships. And I'm telling you, it doesn't interest me. So I just go for the straight out smut sometimes. There's no shame to my game. But to see that there's an app that like pings and holds you accountable for looking at porn, the writer just way too sex obsessed. And if we were a society that were more honest with our sexuality and teaching people healthy ways to express themselves in their sexuality, we'd have a lot less need for apps like that. I just don't understand the need to control our society when it comes to supposed morality and sexuality. It is that nonsense that keeps us fighting each other, keeps us from moving forward, and keeps women being held down when we are literally, like I said, I really feel that if our society would stop this gender bullshit, we could get somewhere. Science breakthroughs, nature breakthroughs, all kinds of breakthroughs. If we would just let go of both eugenics and sexism. Because there's a high cost to telling people that our gender should keep us back from things. There's a high cost of death constantly. Because people think, well, women's less than. I can just kill her and replace her. There are a lot of men out there right now destroying their partners because they think they're replaceable or throwaways. Because our society has condoned and conditioned this less than bullshit for far too long. And our trans sisters are even worse because it's, how dare you want to be a woman? I could kill you because I panicked about my sexuality. Not the fact that trans women are women, trans men are men, and that your sexual attraction is to the gender that they're presenting, you dum-dums. But because we refuse to open up the dialogue and possibility and teach people that it is okay to be attracted to somebody who you physically look at a trans woman, and there are a lot of beautiful trans women out there, and you're attracted to their feminine form because they're females. Dummies. But we have a world where we're so afraid, the morality of it. You got all these old-timey churches and fundies going nuts because it's going to get out of control. Well, what kind of society will we have if people are actually liberated and able to express themselves properly? We have to hard line, make people feel bad for their biological urges, tell them that if they can't carry a child to term, they should be punished. It's the draconianism of this shit that I don't understand why we continue to allow and just act like it's normal. There is absolutely nothing normal about criminalizing body function. There's absolutely nothing normal about criminalizing sexual orientation. But there is absolutely something wrong with society in the digital age where we can create technology that can literally, allegedly mimic artificial intelligence. And I'm going to talk about that more on Friday night because I did a bit of a deep dive. Because even though I have a partner for one of my webcomics, I have several story ideas, some that are really graphic in nature, that I wanted to see if I could find an AI system that I could work with to maybe flesh out some of the ideas. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of the stuff that I've seen with AI and people of color, no, you can tell the bros coding this don't want us in their digital future. And I'm telling you, the digital future will be multifaceted and diverse. Whether you like it or not, tech bros, y'all might control a lot of the funds in tech right now, but all the advancement in technology, all the sci-fi that I write, people of color are going to be the ones that spearhead all the breakthroughs. whether you like us or not, whether you think we belong or not. We're here. And when I say that AI needs a lot of work, if writers of color are especially going to use it for anything, I'm going to have a lot to talk about on Friday about that, because it floored me. I figured Saturday, since I really wasn't feeling good still, that I would tinker around and see, because a lot of these sites want money for this shit. And I'm not going to drop a ton of money on an AI engine that doesn't even recognize basic character descriptions for black women. The fact that you even have to exaggerate certain things to get a proper skin tone. I'm just like, no, I'm good. Y'all need to really go back to the drawing board with that. But I'm going to save a lot of that rant for Friday night, because this really is about women's rights. And I wish I lived in a time where I didn't have to fear our rights being dragged back. But we literally have a Speaker of the House who has that app that I learned about on Last Week Tonight. And him and his 17-year-old son hold each other accountable if they go to bad sites. And it's like, that's weird. I already know a bit too much about what my son's into, because I gave him my first YouTube channel because I was just using it for home movies anyway. And I made the mistake of logging on to that. And I wish I hadn't. Because even YouTube has some of the stuff that he's into, and I didn't know about it. He also flooded my Google Photos with a lot of stuff he's into. So trust me, if you're the mother of a son especially, whether you want to or not, you're going to find out what he's into. And you got to pack it into the part of your brain where you don't think about it. That's how I handle it. I pack it away and I don't think about it. I know it's there, but I just don't think about it. Because the reality of the situation is every healthy person eventually develops sexual attraction. And as long as their sexual attraction isn't something criminal or very unhealthy or something that can harm them, I'm in the camp of I'm going to mind my business. Especially now that he's 18 and I don't really have to think about that. That's between him and his future partners, not my wheelhouse. I don't let him into my personal life like that, so The reality of the situation, though, is we raise too many people repressed and angry. I'm sorry, I've had healthy conversations with my child about things. I had to tell him when we lived in Durham, close your door, because I don't want to see you doing certain things. These are conversations you should be having with your child, not admonishing them for stuff, not punishing them for stuff, because that's how you make an already confusing situation worse for people. We need to stop putting shame when it comes to sexual education and actually start educating our kids on how to function properly, how to respect other people, and understanding what they're into in a healthy manner so that we can have a healthier society. Because right now, I think a lot of our society's sickness is because we keep trying to control what people like and what they're into. We make sex so dirty that there's a fucking billion-dollar industry that sells sex. One of the things that I heard about on Twitch, which I didn't know what to think, is my Twitch circle stayed to gaming, mostly. I like my gaming community. I think I'm the dirtiest thing in our community because I curse a lot. But I'm not overtly sexual because I don't do that. I don't need to put that out there. The only person that needs to see that side of me put a ring on my finger. But I'm not a prude either. It's a balance. You don't have to show everybody your good stuff if that's not how you make your money. But apparently, there's a side on this app that people that make their money that way. And I don't normally go out after other people's bag, but Twitch really isn't the site for stuff like that. And I am definitely not going to show any of those clips, because even though I believe there was somebody on YouTube that showed a stylized edit version of it, the fact that there's a TOS saying that you can't show certain things and these women are just like, I don't care. One got banned 6 times showing her business on this app. And like I said, there are plenty of great sites for that. OnlyFans, X, which I don't fuck with anymore, because it was already bad with the porn stuff on there as it is. And like I said, I am not a prude. I believe that there is room especially since our society wants to still be dominated by fundies for their industry to push back against your fundamental anti-sex leans. And as long as you keep trying to control people and how they express themselves sexually, there is going to be a need for pornography. Because as long as you tell a man that he has to wait until he's married to have a healthy relationship, and don't tell them that you can have a healthy sexual relationship, but you should be smarter. Use condoms, make sure the partner you're with is ready to safe sex, but they don't want to teach that. So what do you think people are supposed to do with that outlet and those urges then? They're going to go to porn. And unfortunately, any site that allows streaming is open for exploitation. And I thought Twitch was a bit better with that. That's why my ass, even laying here in bed right now doing my Bonnet Chronicles, is careful. I don't want to do anything that could potentially lose my channel. But apparently now you can just sit there with your titties out and get away with stuff. That doesn't make sense. I thought this app was better. I was always under the impression that we weren't going to be like Kick. Because there's a reason, even though I've been invited to and I keep turning y'all down, you youngins can go to any old app. I've turned down TikTok and I've turned down Kick because I'm over 40. I don't feel like I can run with you youngins who do all kinds of wild stuff. I think I push the envelope here with my foul language half the time. I don't want to go on a site where anything goes. It's just not my cup of tea. And I know TikTok isn't like that, but I never liked short form content either. I love what Twitch allows me to do, and the Bonnet Chronicles is just a step in the direction I want to go. I was serious about talking to a friend about writing sketches, because we have a lot of talented friends who can act, and I love to write, and I love comedy, so I'm thinking about trying to get a show, especially for us Michiganders, because we've gone through a lot of stuff here in this state, and I've been writing some funny stuff with Axiom Wolf, so it's on the, I call it the stove. I'm just simmering a lot of ideas. I'm already working with an amazing girl out in Lansing who's doing our webcomic. And the dream for both of us is to get it in webcomic and then animate it. And we have a lot of talented voice actor friends too who could use steady work. There are things on the horizon that Twitch has given us the opportunity and the platform to be able to utilize along with YouTube, which I've been taking a lot more seriously now. I know some of you have been following my call out the heifer thing. Chantel has been on some real bad fuck shit. But the Kuwaiti arc allegedly is over. What cracks me up about Chantel is she seems to think that reaction channels have to constantly use her everything to report stuff. But I love it when I find somebody who can tell me the gist of her nonsense without showing all of her boring bits. And Garlic Bread is somebody who a lot of people have words about. I don't care. I enjoy his content for what it is. He tells it like it is. So I wanted to play a bit of her coming back to Canada with her tail between her legs because we all told you so, heifer. We knew that relationship wasn't going to last long. Diagnosed sociopath to undiagnosed sociopath, we told you that once you started to get bored, just having a man that claimed you wasn't going to be enough, but you wanted to argue. But the heifer is back in Canada. So we're going to do a quick react to the news because this isn't long. And it's a perfect way to wrap this up because, good Lord, I'm going to be calling out this chick from Canada pretty soon.
Guys, welcome back. Commentary for you. Chantal has filmed her trip home. There's not a lot to talk about.
And the quick pauses, and like you said, there really wasn't a lot to talk about. But the funny part is she went on a tangent over the weekend about how she was quitting YouTube and how dare people be in her business. Ma'am, you decided to be an e-celebrity. But go off, heifer.
There's even less to show, but let's get into it. We start with the holiday cameo, and then the beginning.
That cameo stuff kills me.
In this video where we see them in the car. Chantal just does not look well in this beginning clip.
Because she's got the beatus, but even worse about that, the music she picked was garbage. Because I sat through Bad Seed and Girl Pleases version because they love to show the whole thing. She picked sad music and tried to convey like, oh, this is a sad time. Homeboy looked happy. Like, I don't know about you, but if my partner was grinning as hard as Salah was at the fact that I'm going to be leaving them, girl, she's the only one that can't see this though.
The car seats are still covered in plastic,
Yeah,
and of
weird.
course, Salah offers such riveting content as, "Hello, guys, we are headed to Kuwait Airport."
Yeah.
Chantal then, "I'm gonna miss you, babe." And then Salah finishing things off with, "Oh my god,
Wow.
I hate goodbyes."
Look at that grin. Look at that grin. That is the face of a man who's like, I'm almost free. I am getting out of this. I got my car, which I think he's going to have to give back because I don't think they paid it off. Why else would they leave the plastic on the seats? This is so weird. He is cheesing because he knows he is almost done. He is going to drop 450 pounds because that's what I'm going to call you 535 because we know you're over 400. He is dropping that weight and he is feeling light.
Again, just some of the least natural conversation,
Exactly.
some of the least flowing discussion you could have. And just when you watch it, it sets the tone for
So
the
bad.
video just not being genuine or authentic.
At all.
You then
Everything
see
about them
Salah pushing her
superficial or
luggage
fake.
and more B roll of an empty
Like a
airport,
servant.
her fanning herself while out in the airport because I guess the heat, although she doesn't specifically mention it. We then see her, I guess, crying
That
by
wasn't a real
herself
tear.
and talking.
She showed, once again, more real tears for the wheelchairs that she was missing in Canada, which I didn't know what wheelchairs were back then. I thought she meant an actual physical wheelchair, and she meant weed. Because I guess that's what they call their gummies, wheelchairs, which is a weird whatever. But I just feel like she knows when to show emotion for things she cares about, and she definitely cares more about getting high than this fake marriage of hers. But she just wanted to show off the ring. I know how that is. I do it all the time when I want to show off my ring. You're not fooling anybody, Heifer.
About needing to find a cheaper flight and having never used Emirates Airlines. She talks about the seating arrangement that she had to get and the fact that another passenger brought this Falcon and that the Falcon needed its own seat.
Yeah,
She then
because
shows
when you
again.
travel with animals like Girl Please has mentioned, I've never traveled with anybody but Kiddo, so I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't want to put a pet or a fur baby through that distress unless I have to. But most plane travel requires you, if you do travel with a pet, to book a seat for them in a carrier, or some planes used to put them on the back of a plane in a carrier, which often caused distress and death for your pets. So it's not really recommended. But nowadays, a lot of airlines allow for emotional support, but you got to buy a seat for them. And you would know that if you really was a traveler, but everything Chantel does is fake.
Again, a relatively empty plane. It talks about her newfound love and appreciation for the Boeing 777 and how warm the color scheme is. She
Okay.
does, however, finally confront the fact that number one, she does need a seatbelt extender.
She been needed that. And what I didn't like about this video, and I'm glad that he freeze framed it there. She took a picture of a flight attendant. She didn't show the flight attendant's full face, but she wanted to show off the outfit. But you could tell she didn't ask the person's permission, which is another thing Chantal has a problem with. Consent, respect for the dead, and just doing whatever the heck she wants, no matter the consequence. Fortunately, you can't really tell that person's who she is, but you can tell she wasn't supposed to be taking a picture of that person's uniform. You have permission, and this is why your butt's probably not going back to Kuwait, because you just do what you want in a country where women don't really, you shouldn't be doing that. It's dangerous.
And she says going forward, this trip has shown her she does need more than one seat, which I find.
Yeah, no shit. That's why I said we got eyes, Heifer, but you swear you're as small as me or smaller, and that we're all just as big as you. That's your body dysmorphia. But even me traveling, no shame in my game. I know I'm still over 300. I don't have to step on the scale because I ain't doing that YouTube weight loss journey. But anytime I travel, just to be on the safe side, I always got the seatbelt extender because you want to be safe. I also book comfort class because you want seats where you fit in with your. Because I always travel with kiddo. So I don't know how this heifer thinks she's telling people how to travel. It's just infuriating to me that she doesn't seem to understand that we have eyes, Chantel. We told you on the Thailand trip you was going to need an extra seat, and you called us fat phobic.
This whole discussion here very strange because, not to
Mm-hmm.
skip too far ahead, but was not the whole point of going home to get her health in order, to get her weight off?
It wasn't her mind, but we all know she's going back to eat nashies and get high as a fucking kite. You know it. I know. We all know it, right, chat? We all know that this is not a health arc, right? We're on the same page. I know some, like, my ass is kind of new to her nonsense, but even I got her down pat now.
Off and to get things in check under control.
Oh, yeah.
So
Kuwait did
she
not
should
want to
be
take
using
care of
this
nobody
as a
with
motivating point
diabetes.
of, hey, listen, I flew over, I needed a seatbelt extender, I clearly am uncomfortable in just one seat, and I need more than one, and I'm going to use this to motivate myself going forward so when I go back, I'm not going to need the extender. And I know confidently I'm not going to need more
Doubt
than one
it.
seat because I'm going to be smaller then than I am now. I just thought that whole conversation she had with herself was quite strange of almost preparing to not lose any weight. She then has to voice all
Mm,
of this over because the plane noise, obviously the engine noise. She says that obviously she's going to miss her home and her pets.
she ain't care
She
about
actually
them
spends
pets.
more time showing the meal and offering she gave back the Pepsi,
Her
talking
true
about
love. She gave back the Pepsi. No, she didn't. Anything she says, you gotta remember Chantel's a liar with diabetes. If she had given back the Pepsi, it wouldn't have been photo. All of this is Chantel's true love. She went into detail about the food and how delicious it was. She's not changing, y'all. She's not. Look forward to her Canada bees.
what they served her than she did, how much she's going to miss Kuwait. Now, it's interesting she
Kuwait's not
doesn't
gonna miss
film
her.
a lot of the second log of the trip because she said she was overwhelmed and she complains about the cost of water. And I just thought to myself, I wonder if this was not the time that those flippers were just pounding those keys and she couldn't film
Yeah,
it.
because apparently this weekend Homegirl says she's gonna sue all of us in Girl World, even those of us who are new, and was calling out her fuck shit. Apparently, she went after FFG again, doxed her real name, put out stuff about FFG's financial past, which was none of your business. And I'm gonna say this point blank because I'm a fan of FFG. I enjoy French Fry Girl. I sit in her chat all the time. I find her very entertaining. I don't care about her past. She is not an e-celeb. She is a commentator. So bringing up the fact that she had rental issues back in the day, who hasn't? Like, there is no shame to your game when you're trying to survive in this world and when you're young and make bad decisions and have a partner that isn't a bum. She and I have gone through a lot of similar things. Some of the things that you claim to be about, Heifer. But now we see that there's no way. Because those of us who have gone through bad things, we realize there's a limit to what we're going to press somebody who's been through it on. And we would never throw that up into somebody's face as a gotcha. And of course, the cowardly heifer, Chantel, deleted all of her little rage things. But she puts shit out there into the world that she can't even stand by. And that's another thing I don't like about her.
Anything because she was busy in the community
Exactly,
posts
Beans.
raging at everything.
I love that for that cat too because the last calling out the heifer that I put on YouTube showed classic Chantel cleaning that room of hers and that cat just standing there on a desk looking down at all the filth and it was just heartbreaking. Nobody should live in that. Animal or person living in filth. That is just not right. Callie's area stays spotless. A, because I don't want mess. But B, because it is healthier for our cats and our dogs and anybody in our home to not live in filth. And I can't believe I have to say that to a 39-year-old woman, but here we are.
Everyone. Now, she says the second flight gave her whiplash. There was a lot of turbulence.
Wah,
She said
wah.
she was praying and feared the flight would not make it. And then we abruptly get to the Kia. And she says,
Yep.
listen, people are going to overanalyze. You're going to look at the crumbs. You're going to look at the stains, but just pass up on that because
No, no, we're not going to pass up on that because we already seen your dirty house. We already heard about how you had to deep clean the apartment because that was a move out clean, but you didn't want us to speculate on that because you're still not ready to let go of your fantasy of being a Kuwaiti wife. Whatever, heifers, your fantasy, we don't got to indulge in it. But the state of that car is shameful. And it's just a reminder of what we're going to be getting. A mess that tries to say, you can't blame me for the mess because of my mental health, but you're not diagnosed. So yeah, we can't. You're just a dirty, lazy heifer who everything you take care of, you don't really take care of. You use it until it's broken down and falling apart. You even said in that video that I watched it as, I didn't think I was coming back to you. So you just neglect stuff that you didn't think you were coming back to? Karma's knocking, heifer, and it's showing you. This is your life. This is what we get to look forward to. Dirt and excuses.
the first thing I'm going to do is clean this. She says again, this is a 24-hour trip, and she was taking some space, but now apparently it's time to Canada Bees. She said that
And I'm going to end this right there. And I'll have links to garlic bread because I loved the way he covered this. But she already said it in her own words. She is ready to get back. Bees. She's going to get high as a kite. And she's going to drop the bomb on everything. But I'm going to remind her if she ever tries to say that Salah was this, that, or the other. That little tea with Miriam when she said, he's my rock. He's this, he's that. And it had nothing but praise for him. We don't want to hear it, heifer. We told you it was weird that he kept you locked in that apartment without being able to go out, allegedly. But you said that you wanted that control. You told us that he made you happy in every way, shape, or form, even though you were constantly alone, sitting on the floor, eating mountains of food. The few times you did cook, you could only get a voiceover from him and saying, oh, yeah, babe, better than the Cheesecake Factory, and other dumb shit. He wanted so badly to prove to us heifers that you were claimable. And then my ass showed you that, yeah, we big girls can be claimed, but your partner has to be into it and want to be into it. If Axiom Wolf wasn't at work right now, he'd be hovering like normal because that's what happens when your partner loves you. Now you want to be a writer, you want to get weight loss surgery, you want to do everything that I took years of putting in the work. And I've had my slip-ups, and I still, when I put in the effort, I show results. So I'm telling you, heifer, go on. I hope that your envy of what I'm doing motivates you to be better. That's the only thing I wish for you right now. But till then, I'm going to clown on you because I am enjoying calling you out. And if I'm right about the vibes I get about ALR and you potentially teaming up, I will dedicate at least once a week to calling out y'all's combined fuck shit. Because a half-ton heifer team up would be hilarious. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Get ready to go make some dinner. Thank you all so much for sitting in. I hope not, but I just feel like she is going to try to get to the States. Chantel is desperate for anybody to give her attention and affection. She's chronically online. And those two have been sliding into each other's live chats for weeks now. It's weird. And both of them are in a desperate time. So I don't know, y'all. Crazier things have happened on this internet. So, like I said, if it happens, I'm warning y'all up front. There will be a live stream dedicated to once a week calling out their fuck shit. I will figure out my schedule to make it happen. Trust me on it. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I will be back on Friday night. We are definitely going to talk about my AI experience because I could go on an hour tangent about that because it pissed me off. And then I compare it with my ideas for science fiction especially. So it's a really fun and creative interactive stream that I've got planned for Friday night. I'm looking forward to it. But thank you all so much. And it's like I said when I opened up, this has been a touch and go year. But I am just grateful to all of you who take the chance to sit in here and listen to me rant in the bonnet. I appreciate you all. I wouldn't be able to do this without this community, and I really do appreciate having you here to listen. I'm talking news, social issues, or anything. I just appreciate you all. But I will definitely be back here on Friday night with the new Bonnet Chronicles. Thank you all for sitting in, and there he goes.
Hi. It's a Festivus for the rest of us. Yay!
You're a mess. I'll see you all soon. Yes, I will be in FFG's channel soon.